एक ही नजर में सब मंजिल मंजिल पाए.
Today we have with us the guru of visual effects, Merzin Tavaria. Welcome to BollywoodHungama.com once again.
Thank you so much.
Merzin's latest accomplishment, or rather a prime focus, is the spectacular visual effects in Ghajini, especially the Behka song, where you get to see 6 Amir Khan. What's the entire idea of that song particularly?
6 Amir Khan idea was the choreographer Ahmed Khan and DOP Mr. Ravi K. Chandran. They wanted to do something different. Throughout the song already Amir has 6 different looks, so why not have it all of them in one? And it was easily said. Thought it was a little easy till we stepped in and started actually breaking down the whole scene, and we realized that it's doable. But it takes a lot of choreography and it takes a lot of effort on Mr. Khan's part, because he has to perform the song 6 times over for each shot. Watching the eye lines, making sure that there is enough contact, making it as real as possible and it doesn't look cut paste was what the trick was all about. Best part about it was that we were trying to make sure that each of them are crossing over each other. They are actually just about avoiding each other.
We'll actually show you what all went into making that song. It all looks very simple when you watch it, but the complicated part is just about to begin.
This is the first shot. Each character was shot individually on green screen. Each layer is shot with what is called a motion control. Each layer of Amir separately. So first Amir was shot separately, where he is actually performing with just Asin in frame. And as he's doing that, he has no idea of where the other Amir is going to come. So just about make sure that his eye line matches Asin performing. When she's actually passing by, there is no one over here, so she can't see. When Amir performs this, he has to make sure that he just about misses her, which as you see is actually not there in frame. So as he misses her, he passes by. Amir number 2 has to come in front and just about stop where Amir number 4 is standing, as Amir 3 actually turns around and again passes by. And hats off to Amir, because tirelessly he's performed. Sometimes some of the shots required more than maybe 6-7 takes to just get it absolutely bang on right, and to make sure that all of them are performing in sync, watching their steps, hitting their mark. I think it was fantastic on his part. He, I think, did more than 10 takes because I requested him to take it, because I was compositing it live on the set. One of the layers, somehow the sync was going off. If his action was matching, his lip sync was going off. I requested him to do it again and again, and he finally said, listen, I think there's something wrong. I think he was very polite when he told me that. He said,
there's something wrong with your computer.
Checked it again and I was wrong. Camera person who was operating the camera was hitting the camera button just one touch late. Because of that, the sync was going off. Amir was absolutely bang on. In each take, he was performing it perfectly.
And the amazing part is that a 5-minute song, it took 3 months for the visual effects. Is it right?
Yeah, it took 3 months for the visual effects, because since this was shot on a set and the set was very congested, it was not an option to actually shoot the whole thing on green screen. So a lot of rotoscopy went into it. Each layer was painstakingly touched up and masked out in post. That took a very long time. Again, to match their eye lines, obviously after shooting it, we still need to reposition it a little bit, retime just that little bit to make sure that the eye line matches. One of the scenes, if you see here, all of them interacting with each other. There's just shot with this one Amir is sitting over there. 2 has to turn around and look. Asin behind, she doesn't exist, but he's got his look absolutely perfect looking at her. And please notice the look between the 2 Amirs, absolutely perfect. While Amir number 3 actually turns around and looks. I think finally we had to put it all together. So that's where it took time to just match up all the layers and to make sure that it all fits in and looks seamless. So if you notice in the song, 6 characters and this same person, but his actions all are very different. So they don't look like all of them. In fact, his dance moves also are just a little off, like any 6 different dancers would be performing.
What about Jia Khan's Lattu number? What all have you done in that?
The Lattu song was last minute addition. It really juiced us out because directed by Ravi Udyawar, who is known for his visual artistry and is very visually strong music video and ad film director, when he was brought in just for the Gia song. So not that I was worried about it, but I was worried about deliveries, because almost 3 weeks before release, the intro of the song, where she's introduced for the first time, she's shot on a green screen and she actually drops down from spacecraft kind of a feel. And then she drops down and there are dancers that actually pop out from behind her, making it look almost like she is a drop, and there's a splash that happened. That is what Ravi Udyava's whole vision was. We have a matte painting in that we've put in the background, color corrected her, we've lit her from the top. I'm quite amazed that we were able to do in the 3-4 days that we really struggled on it.
What is the second scene that you're going to show it to us? I believe the airplane one?
The aircraft sequence is a private jet lands in an airstrip. On location, suddenly the production realized that airstrip actually looks too bare. It looks like jungle and it doesn't give this feel of a city. They called me up and they said that, is it okay if we shoot here? Can you add some buildings? So we say, yeah, sure, we'll do something about it. It's not about adding. I think what we'll have to do is actually replace. So in some shots, we've actually landed up replacing. So these are some of the shots. So we have the aircraft. So, for a shot like this, where we have the aircraft was shot in a place where there is, just trees. There's this little sand and you can't make out anything. This doesn't look like a city.
This is the original shot.
It looks like it's Goa, but
Now it's the animated world.
we added a complete city in the background. We replaced the complete tarmac, making it a little more like a city airstrip rather than put in a lot of grass. So finally, when you see the whole sequence, it looks like whole city and a part of the story rather than a cutaway into a middle of nowhere.
What is this technique called?
Called matte paintings. The matte paintings are created using still images, but still images actually remove all highlights and shadows, and we put in, and the artist actually paints in their own highlights and shadows. Takes a lot of images and cuts and pastes them and creates a whole new image out of it.
One of my personal favorites is the maple leaf. It's a small sequence, but I think it has a beautiful impact. Can you just talk about that and see that as well?
The maple leaf sequence is just a very small touch to the whole scene. Actually make the scene more romantic, more lyrical. Ghajini is a very unique film for us because we have a whole spectrum of VFX shots in this. There are more than 300 shots in this. But what's unique is that basic things like it's an action movie, so there are lots of wire removals. But besides that, there are some weapons that have been added, some action scenes where you can't actually have as a rod that is in Amir's stomach. That has to be done in 3D. So all those things are obvious elements that you expect in a film. The maple leaf sequence, which is a very invisible effect kind of a thing. Right up to the point of the Becca song where there are very obvious in-your-face VFX. You've got 6 Amirs dancing. Yeah, that's not real at any point. But all that is done keeping logic in mind, trying to make it as realistic as possible.
There's one particular sequence of Amir's skull that has been used for the doctors in the film as well. Can you just talk about that?
We actually took a lot of stills of Amir. We created a 3D head of Amir. We had show the scar on the head. So there was a whole detailed narrative in this, but the director suddenly felt that scene was not really required. We didn't have to go into showing the details of that, just a small image on a screen. So the story is important, not the VFX. We struggled on it for almost 2 months. We're happy with it. It goes on our showreel, but it's not part of the film. So most of you guys will not be able to see that in the film.
Any other shot that you'd like to show us?
There's an important sequence where Amir is actually flying off out of the country, and it's a very emotional sequence. We have a pull-out from Amir's close-up, realizes he's in an aircraft, and as it's pulling out, it's a night sky. A night sky is always a very tricky thing. In the day, you always think of clouds, blue sky. There's so much more you can do. You have the sun that you can play around with. But actually at night, it's black. You can't see anything out of the sky. Even if it's moonlit, you still don't see that much detail. When we do visual effects, we are actually showing realistic, not real. We played with it for some time to get the right look, and I was not totally convinced about it till the very end, till we hit upon this particular sequence where we had just enough detail. The clouds are showing, and the aircraft is just pulling away and going off into the distance.
Finally, Merzin, what are the kind of inputs that Amir Khan gave for the animation part in Ghajini, and do you think it was a learning experience for you as well?
Working with Amir is a learning experience at any point of time, whether you're actually doing any work with him or you're just talking to him or any of it. I think Amir's main interest was always the Behka song. He was completely clear in what he wanted to do. He's such a perfectionist. It's just that you want to do your best to make sure that he's happy. And if he says he's happy, then that's a big achievement.
Guru of visual effects talking about Ghajini, his latest accomplishment. We'll come back to Merzin shortly for other biggie film they have done. But for today, that's all we have from BollywoodHangama.com. Keep on watching.
एक ही नजर में सब मंजिल मंजिल पाए, हटके अलग सी थी बिल्कुल जुदा सी, ना ही अदाएं ना कोई अंगड़ाए। बहगा बहगा मैं बहगा बहगा महगा महगा ये मन है महगा। बहकाऊं मैं बहकाऊं वो बहकी हवा सी आए, एक ही नजर में सब